I'm going to jump over to Prabhu Pangali, if I may. Prabhu is an economist with a long history in economics. You were the president of the IIE. You were at the Gates Foundation as the head of the Agricultural Development Division. But in 2013, you moved to Cornell to head up the Tata Cornell Agriculture Nutrition Initiative, which I understand you've actually been kind of digging deep on this whole, the correlation between what is agriculture, health, nutrition, but also along with wealth, particularly in India. And so I guess my question is, this convergence implies that you actually do know something about marrying all of these. But what are you seeing? Is there actually a balance? And are we paying attention to one another? Are these ag nutritions even paying attention to one another from your various experience?
Thank you, Bonnie. I actually spent 30 years of my career working on agriculture issues and productivity issues. And I'm a very recent entrant into the nutrition community. And so I have a perspective which is, when you think about, is there a marriage between these two communities? My answer is, what marriage? They've just started to get to know each other. They're not even dating yet. And so there's still a lot of friction between the two communities. And let me give you my perspective on where that friction is. There's a fairly divergent perspective between the two communities on what the problem is and what the solutions are. So from an agricultural community point of view, historically the attention was on productivity improvements, enhancing food grain supplies, and very strong focus on staple grains. Rice, wheat, and maize. That hasn't changed much. Even today, much of the R&D work that we see is on the big staples, including the R&D going out through the CGIAR system. The agriculture policy work is very focused on food security, but what agriculture policy people mean by food security is, do we have enough rice, wheat, and maize? And they don't think about, do we have enough tomatoes and eggs and onions and milk? And so that perspective has been very different. And then let's think about the nutrition community. There are a large number of people in the nutrition community that don't even see the role of agriculture in nutrition. And that's quite true. And you see people talking about fortification and other opportunities, but not about food and the role that food plays in nutrition. I think the one area of agreement between the two communities that I see is in biofortification. And I think that's where there's some consensus that we need to move forward, and the work that Howdy's been doing has been quite exciting in that respect. So where do we go from here? What's the way forward? I think there's a lot of mutual learning to be done between the two groups in saying food is central to nutrition outcomes, that you need to think about food as a necessary component of nutrition, and to think about it not just in terms of quantity of food, but in terms of diversity of the food supply system, and diversity at all levels, from the household to the local to the national and to the global level. And that's really important. And we need agriculture policy to get away from this green revolution mindset and to think more broadly about food supply in terms of diversity rather than the big three staple grains. And finally, it's important for all of us to understand that food is one component, it's an important component, but to get to nutrition outcomes, we need a cross-sectoral approach. You need behavior change. You need women's empowerment in order to enhance equity at the household level, but you also need investments in water and sanitation. Without all of these factors coming together, food alone will not achieve it, but food is an important part of the equation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.